Right guys, it's time for that comedy gold, because Sky News decided to prove yesterday's video right the moment they got Diane Abbott on the Sophie Ridge show today, showing us exactly why Labour could never be elected regardless of their woke tendencies. As I said in that video, even if Labour stopped being woke, they would literally still lose. These MPs would make sure of that, let me tell you. At the end of the day, you have to remember it's not just about being woke, it's everything the party stands for, and the people involved with it are clearly just out of their tiny little minds. They could actually become the most patriotic party in the country and people would still never vote for them because they're a bunch of lunatics in love with themselves and their own inner city bubbles. Their woke crap just helps hammer the nail in the coffin of their electoral chances at the end of the day. And I mean, putting Diane Abbott on TV saying the things that she does in the clips I'll show you proves that beyond all doubt, and actually proves just how stupid the Labour Party and its MPs actually are. As you will see, she literally stands there claiming the 2019 manifesto was good and should be revived to help Labour win the next election, which actually almost gets a laugh out of Sophie Ridge, I think. Believe it or not, Diane Abbott actually thinks in her heart of hearts that Labour's policies are popular, and as you would expect, actually blames the media for Corbyn losing the election on a scale that's not been seen in 85 years. Not once does she point out Labour's anti-democratic wish to stop Brexit, their love of illegal immigration even beyond what the Tories would do, and their utter betrayal of this country and the working classes going back decades. She blames everything on everyone else while sucking Corbyn's wrinkly cock and talking the utmost amount of shit. You know what? Take a listen to it for yourself.
Now, what's your reaction to the results that we've seen?
In many ways, they're disappointing results, although we did have very good results in London and in Wales and in Manchester. So it's not a uniform picture, but certainly some results were disappointing, and it was very distressing to lose Hartlepool.
It's interesting that you pick out the three areas, London, Wales, Manchester, where you think Labour did better. Places where Labour has a different figurehead, shall we say, to the national leadership in Andy Burnham, Mark Drayford and Sadiq Khan. Do you think that this perhaps suggests that it is a leadership problem?
I think it's a strategy problem. When Keir Starmer was first elected as leader, he talked about unifying the party and he talked about not oversteering away from the policies under Jeremy Corbyn. He needs to go back to that way of thinking. I think sacking Angie Rayner, for instance, is not a unifying thing to do. I think we need to be building on the policies in the 2019 manifesto, many of which were forward-thinking and popular. We need to get the strategy right.
You're talking about going back to the policies or building on the policies from the 2019 manifesto. Some people listening to that might think that is quite a staggering thing to say. You know, that was your worst result since 1935. You lost 59 seats. Isn't that a manifesto that failed?
It was a manifesto that, taking the policies individually, was very popular. There's no doubt that the party leadership came under fantastic media attack, but the actual policies were popular.
The policies might have been popular individually, but as a whole, they weren't popular, were they? They led to your worst defeat since 1935.
They polled well. Of course we had a terrible defeat. You don't need to remind me that it was a terrible defeat. But, you know, extraordinary media attack on the party and on our leader at that time. So we now have a chance to regroup, to unify and put forward those popular policies.
So our first real question is in relation to the leadership, because Labour won a few inner city votes, and of course the Welsh election, which we knew they would always win. Sophie Ridge is, as you would expect, part of the London bubble, so she does not realise that winning in them areas makes literally no difference to the rest of the country. At the end of the day, most of the rural areas in the UK will not vote for Labour at all, and I do literally mean for any reason at all. Diane Abbott's answers, though, really show just how demented the entire Labour Party is, obviously thanks to its MP's mindset and dogmatic support of lunacy this country will never back. Now, some of you might say she was always going to say that because Diane Abbott is a bit of a Corbyn fan. After all, she was being belt-fed Corbyn's dick at one point in the past, you might remember. And if you didn't know that already, then I'm not sorry I've told you, because now you can join us with a bit of sick in your mouths at the thought of it. But moving on, she bangs on about the policies pushed in an election manifesto that helped sink the Labour Party, literally to the piss-weak state it finds itself in now. This is why, as I've said, Labour will always lose at the end of the day. It's not just about wokeness, it's not about the party's leader, it's about the party as a whole. Everything about it is repugnant to anyone with a little bit of common sense. Now, towards the end, she also talks about unifying the Labour Party, which really should be a hoot. The Corbynistas don't do unity, as we know. Shit, I actually see more Labour supporters attacking each other than I do Tories attacking Labour or vice versa. As many of you have said, the Labour Party will eat itself alive from the inside, while the Tories continue to fuck up the country with impunity. Because at the end of the day, who would elect Labour, especially after watching Diane Abbott on TV coming out with this shit?